A wooden plaque details the indefinite suspension of a man named Akashi Guji for acts of brutality, signed by Itajima Heihachi, the principal of Otakajiku. This event would later be known as the February 26th incident, a day when the snowy campus grounds were stained red with the blood of first years. Akashi Guji scoffs at his indefinite suspension, viewing it as a much-needed break. He glances at his broken sword, musing that its blade couldn't handle his immense power. With his broken sword in hand, Akashi Guji stands defiantly amidst a field of fallen bodies in the snow-covered grounds of Otakajiku, a testament to the brutality that led to his suspension. The scene shifts to a vast, desolate landscape of snow-covered mountains as someone trudges through the deep snow, their journey just beginning. Akashi reflects on his quest for a worthy weapon. He has tested countless blades, but none have been able to withstand the power of his straight-line style. His only hope now lies in the legends of a certain temple. After a long journey, Akashi finally arrives at his destination, the fabled rock-slicing temple, a massive, imposing structure nestled in the snowy mountains. As the blizzard intensifies around the rock-slicing temple, Akashi smirks, deciding he'll head inside to warm himself up, hinting at the impending conflict. Inside the temple, a group of muscular, bald monks are in the middle of intense training, honing their skills with weapons around a central fire. The training is abruptly interrupted. One of the monks senses a strange presence from outside the gates, just as the massive steel doors begin to shudder violently. The steel gate is effortlessly torn open. Akashi Guji stands in the breach, casually stating he wants a light sparring session to warm up. The monks stare in shock, demanding to know who he is. Enraged by the intrusion, one of the monks leaps forward, swinging a spiked flail at Akashi, ordering the insolent fool to leave at once. With unbelievable ease, Akashi stops the monk's attack, catching the sharp blade between just 2 fingers. The other monks look on in utter disbelief. An elderly, bearded man appears on a balcony above. He calmly observes Akashi, noting that he doesn't seem like an ordinary warrior pilgrim, and asks what brings him to the sacred temple. The monks respectfully address the man as elder. Akashi correctly deduces that this is the master of the temple, a realization that pleases him. Akashi wastes no time declaring his purpose. He has come for the temple's legendary treasure, the rock-slicing sword. The elder asks why he seeks the sword. Akashi replies that he has heard there is nothing in this world the rock-slicing sword cannot cut. Akashi reveals his true, arrogant motive. He doesn't just want the sword for its cutting ability. He wants to test if the legendary blade can withstand his own immense power. He laughs maniacally at the thought. The elder's expression hardens. Angered by Akashi's audacity, he declares that if he seeks the sword, he must first challenge the 100-fist petition of the icy tower. The monks react with alarm, exclaiming that the trial is too extreme. The narration explains the 100-fist petition, a final and ultimate trial where one must defeat 10 men on each of the 10 floors of the icy tower, a total of 100 men, to earn the right to the rock-slicing sword. As the monks protest, the elder confirms that Akashi must pass this trial. Unfazed, Akashi finds the challenge interesting and a perfect way to keep warm. A monk is then instructed to lead him to the tower. While Akashi is led away, one of the monks worriedly asks the elder if he is sure about allowing this stranger to attempt their final trial. The elder watches them go, a sinister smile creeping across his face. A monk reminds the elder of the fate of those who've challenged the icy tower before. The elder, with a chilling laugh, dismisses the concern, stating the impertinent brat will just become another frozen statue in the tower's halls. A monk with a torch leads Akashi and his escorts through a treacherous, icy canyon. Growing impatient, Akashi demands to know how much further, warning that there will be hell to pay if this is a joke. They finally arrive at their destination, the icy tower of rock-slicing temple, a multi-storied pagoda perched on a frozen peak. The elder, gesturing towards it, confirms this is the place and that all preparations have been made. The elder lays out the daunting task ahead. Each of the tower's 10 floors is guarded by 10 temple elites. To reach the top, Akashi must defeat every single one of them by himself. Akashi simplifies the trial as a 100-man sparring match. The elder clarifies that the true terror isn't the fighting, but the environment itself. In the -50 degrees Celsius cold, a fighter's own blood, sweat, and breath will freeze them from the inside out. The elder continues his grim explanation. Before long, the challenger's strength will fail, and they will be transformed into a permanent ice statue. The elder reveals that the tower is already filled with the frozen bodies of ascetics who attempted the trial over the temple's 1,000-year history, and not a single one has ever succeeded. With a sinister grin, he tells Akashi that he will soon become the tower's next victim. To the elder's absolute shock, Akashi scoffs at the dire warnings, dismissing the entire trial as an utter farce. Akashi confidently states that this kind of trial is nothing compared to the training of his straight-line style. As the elder seethes, calling him a braggart, Akashi walks towards the tower, leaving the monks to wonder what he is about to do. With a powerful roar, Akashi unleashes a single, devastatingly powerful sword strike, channeling his immense energy into the attack. The force of his own attack is so great that his sword shatters upon impact. Akashi looks at the broken hilt, calmly remarking that this sword, too, was unable to handle his power. The elder bursts into laughter, mocking Akashi for foolishly breaking his own sword. He taunts him, asking if he's turned coward, but Akashi simply orders them to stand back. Suddenly, a deep rumbling begins. The monks inside the icy tower feel the structure begin to shake violently as massive cracks appear in its foundation, wondering if it's an earthquake. The tower gives way completely, crumbling into a pile of rubble. The monks inside scream in terror as they fall amidst the collapsing structure. The elder stares in absolute disbelief and horror. The icy tower of rock-slicing temple, a structure that had stood for a millennium, was utterly destroyed by a single stab from Akashi. The monks who had been waiting inside the tower lie groaning in pain, buried and injured among the ruins. Akashi stands victoriously atop the wreckage, looking down at one of the defeated monks. He states coldly, "It's not that you were weak. I was just too strong." Surveying the devastation, Akashi wonders if the legendary rock-slicing sword has been buried in the snow along with the tower. He muses that if so, then the sword was never destined for greatness anyway. A new, more powerful tremor begins, shaking the ground violently. The monks realize with dawning horror that this is a real earthquake, far different from the shaking Akashi caused. The entire mountainside begins to crack and give way. The monks look on in terror as the elder screams that the sacred MT Zangan has been enraged. The group watches in horror as they realize the devastating truth. The impact of the icy tower's collapse has triggered a massive avalanche. A colossal wave of snow and ice rushes down the mountain, threatening to completely swallow rock-slicing temple and everyone in its path. As the monks panic and urge the elder to flee, he stands his ground, refusing to abandon the temple. He orders the others to flee at once while he remains behind. In the midst of the chaos, the rock-slicing sword presents itself to Akashi. He wields the legendary blade, declaring that the avalanche of MT Zangan is the perfect opponent to test its power against. The monks cry out that not even he can stop it with a single sword. Akashi faces the oncoming avalanche, feeling its astounding force. He prepares to strike, knowing that if he doesn't slice it with all his soul, the immense wave of snow will swallow him whole. A mysterious, powerful swordsman with piercing eyes questions if his legendary rock-slicing sword can truly be handled. With a powerful roar, the protagonist unleashes his ultimate secret technique, the straight-line style's Moses' 10 Commandments slash. His incredible sword strike splits a massive avalanche in two, sending some of the temple monks flying from the sheer force of the blow. From the safety of the rock-slicing temple, the elder and his monks watch in utter disbelief as the avalanche parts, flowing harmlessly around their sanctuary. The elder exclaims in shock at the impossible feat. The protagonist stands confidently with his sword, declaring that nothing in the world is beyond its cutting power. The monks, witnessing this miracle, can only stare in awe as the swordsman sheathes his blade in the now divided snowfield. The monks fall to their knees, overcome with gratitude for the man who saved both them and their temple. The scene then transitions to the next day, under the clear sky over the snowy mountains. Lined up in formation, the monks of the rock-slicing temple watch as their elder officially bestows the temple's greatest treasure, the rock-slicing sword, upon the protagonist, deeming him a worthy master. The protagonist accepts the rock-slicing sword. He admires the weapon, acknowledging it as a truly well-made blade as he straps it to his back. The elder asks the protagonist what his plans are now that he possesses the legendary sword. The swordsman cryptically replies that any true master of the sword will have only one destination in mind. Pointing to the heavens, the protagonist makes a grand declaration. He will enter the Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament. The elder is stunned by this announcement. The Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament is revealed to be the ultimate contest to decide the mightiest swordsman in the world, a brutal competition with no restrictions, where only past champions have survived. When the elder asks why he would go to such lengths, the protagonist implies the answer should be obvious. The protagonist's true desire is to find a worthy match for his immense power. As he walks away, the elder reflects that he has never felt such awe for anyone before and believes this man might just be capable of anything. With the rock-slicing sword now his, the protagonist stands with renewed purpose, an imposing building looming in the background, signaling the start of his next great challenge. His journey takes him through a desolate, rocky landscape as he makes his way toward the distant, formidable-looking fortress that will host the tournament. Arriving at the grand, pagoda-like structure of the Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament, the protagonist feels a surge of excitement, wondering how long it has been since his blood has boiled with anticipation for a real fight. At the entrance, a man in ornate robes, Zhen Kongming, theatrically welcomes all the chosen warriors to the Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament. Zhen Kongming introduces himself to the assembled group of powerful-looking warriors, announcing that he will be their guide for the tournament. He explains their location, an isolated island, unlisted on any map of Japan. The arena for the main tournament lies below, at the base of a chain of sheer, 3,000-meter-high cliffs. A large, brutish warrior, angered by the situation, threatens to kill Zhen Kongming if he's being trifled with. He demands to know why they were all gathered atop the mountains instead of at the arena. The protagonist silently observes the other contestants, unimpressed, as he senses no significant key from any of them. Meanwhile, Zhen Kongming cryptically tells the angry warrior that his questions will be answered through the gate ahead. Suddenly, as the warriors proceed, a powerful, invisible force erupts, violently throwing several of the contestants aside, to the shock of the others. The path gives way to a horrifying view, a massive, deadly-looking maze carved into the cliff face far below, leaving the contestants speechless with shock and confusion. Zhen Kongming smugly smiles as he introduces the first stage of the tournament. He calls it the Cliffside Ghost Leg Killing. The grim details of the Cliffside Ghost Leg Killing are laid out. It's a brutal battle on a tournament-style bridge suspended high between two cliffs. Losers are simply thrown off the edge to their doom, while the winners move along the bridge to face their next opponent until only a single survivor is left standing. And just when it seems things can't get any worse, a bolt of lightning strikes the battleground with explosive force. The terrified contestants look on as Zhen Kongming reveals from his high perch that the arena is designed to be struck by lightning at regular intervals, adding another layer of random death to the already terrifying ordeal. Zhen Kongming explains the brutal terms. Out of the 16 warriors in this block, only one will advance. The winner's prize is a single parachute in the center of the arena, their only means of reaching the main stage at the foot of the mountain. A dissenting warrior, appalled by the deadly conditions, declares he's not fighting in such a place and wants out. From his perch, Zhen Kongming smirks, stating he won't force anyone to participate. The terrifying reality of the deathmatch settles in for the contestants. Falling from the bridge means instant death, and being struck by lightning also means instant death. Their only means of survival is to win. Zhen Kongming theatrically urges the gentlemen to fight to their heart's content for the title of the mightiest swordsman. The dissenting warrior scoffs at the spectacle, calling it a pathetic farce. While the others hesitate, the protagonist makes a sudden, decisive move, leaping from the starting platform. His abrupt action catches Zhen Kongming and the other warriors completely by surprise. He lands directly in the center of the arena, right next to the parachute. The other contestants are enraged, accusing him of being a coward, trying to escape without a proper fight. Standing alone in the center, the protagonist turns to face his 15 opponents. Unimpressed, he states that he doesn't like going through the trouble of individual fights and challenges all of them to come at him at once. The other warriors are stunned and infuriated by his arrogance. A 1-against-15 battle seems like madness. A hot-headed swordsman curses at him, believing it to be a load of bullshit. Provoked by his challenge, the 15 remaining warriors accept his terms. They decide to grant his wish and charge at him all at once, aiming to throw him off the cliff first. As the horde of swordsmen rushes towards him, the protagonist remains perfectly calm, his eyes closed. With a simple "Humph," he grips the hilt of his rock-slicing sword, ready for action. In a single blinding flash of steel, the protagonist unleashes his attack. The charging warriors are caught in a whirlwind of slashes, their offensive turning into a scene of chaos as they are thrown into the air. In an instant, the battle is over. All 15 opponents lie defeated on the ground around the lone swordsman. Zhen Kongming can only stare in utter shock, unable to comprehend what he just witnessed. The attack was too fast for the eye to see. He had mown them all down with a single fluid motion. But just as the protagonist stands victorious, a bolt of lightning descends from the sky, targeting the platform where Zhen Kongming is perched. Reacting with incredible speed, the protagonist leaps away just as the lightning strikes the central platform, narrowly avoiding the blast. He dismisses the attack as just an annoying little trap, while Zhen Kongming and another warrior look on in disbelief. The lightning strike incinerates the only parachute, burning it to a crisp. Zhen Kongming, processing the events, addresses the protagonist by name for the first time. Akashi, you are indeed the winner of this battle. However, with the means of descent destroyed, Zhen Kongming declares that there will be no entrance from this preliminary block. He smugly tells Akashi that this means the heavens have not acknowledged him. Akashi repeats Zhen's words, the heavens. Instead of being defeated, he lets out a small, amused smile, finding the entire situation fascinating. Before Zhen Kongming can react, Akashi suddenly lunges forward and grabs him, hoisting him over his shoulder. Zhen is shocked, demanding to know what the devil Akashi is trying to do. In a stunning move, Akashi leaps off the side of the cliff, dragging the terrified Zhen Kongming with him into the abyss. Zhen screams in panic, asking if he's gone insane, knowing that without a parachute, the fall means certain death. As they plummet towards the ground, Akashi remains resolute. He believes that only by risking his life can he draw out the true power of his sword and reach even higher heights. His eyes gleam with determination as he calls upon the rock-slicing sword. Akashi unleashes another straight-line-style secret technique, Gale Sword. He swings his blade with immense force, creating a massive horizontal tornado around them to break their fall, while the terrified Zhen Kongming can only scream. The unnamed protagonist, a powerful swordsman with spiky blonde hair, makes a dramatic entrance. Instead of falling, he floats down gently towards the tournament grounds, much to the shock of a nearby observer. A bald monk stares in utter disbelief. The protagonist landed by slicing the air to create a shockwave, cushioning his fall. Another contestant, a man with long hair, watches in awe, recognizing the incredible display of power and calling him a true man. The other contestants, having arrived at the desolate clifftop arena where a lone temple stands, are stunned into silence by the protagonist's impossible feat of controlled descent. With supreme confidence, the protagonist walks towards the arena, stating that there is nothing in the world his straight-line-style rock-slicing sword cannot cut. His philosophy is clear: seek a path to life in the midst of death. As the protagonist approaches the main stage, he senses a powerful key. At the same time, a mysterious man in a wide-brimmed hat smirks, acknowledging the protagonist's strength, noting he has a little backbone. A silent challenge passes between two masters. The scene ominously pans over the isolated, rocky arena, promising that the final rounds of this tournament will be nothing short of a bloodbath. The protagonist takes in his surroundings, confirming that this is the main arena for the brutal Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament. His attention is suddenly caught by a strange sight: a giant stone hand carved into the mountainside, its palm adorned with cryptic symbols. Looking up, the protagonist sees that the hand belongs to a colossal statue of a bodhisattva, looming over the entire tournament ground. A full view reveals the massive scale of the serene-faced bodhisattva statue, which has been carved directly into the mountain's rock face. The protagonist scoffs at the giant statue, calling it poor taste. His thoughts are interrupted when a desperate voice calls out to him as head. He turns to find a man named Idagawa desperately clinging to the cliffside, his strength failing as he begs the protagonist for help. Idagawa explains that he followed the protagonist to the tournament, hoping to team up. However, the protagonist coldly rejects him, shouting for him to leave as he has no intention of teaming up with anyone. The protagonist declares that for a warrior, nothing is more terrifying than bonds. He threatens to cut Idagawa down if he stands in his way, causing the terrified man to shriek in fear. From the balcony of the temple, an official announces to all the contestants who passed the preliminaries that the opening ceremonies for the main matches will now commence. The announcer, a man with a long mustache and braid named Junturin, steps forward to explain the proceedings. The protagonist and a winded Idagawa watch alongside the other warriors. Junturin explains the first rule. After the ceremony, each contestant will proceed down one of 8 branching paths, represented by different characters. A map illustrates how these paths stretch across the entire island, with an arena at each intersection, all leading to a final arena at the mountain summit. A special method will be used to assign each warrior their path. Junturin dramatically announces the name of this selection method: the Graven Bodhisattva's 8 Swords Divination, prompting a curious reaction from the protagonist and Idagawa. The rules for the divination are laid out. Participants must throw a sword at one of the 8 characters on the Bodhisattva's palm to determine their path. However, a grim warning is added. For those who lack power, a terrifying judgment awaits. One of the contestants, a highly muscular man adorned with beads, scoffs at the notion of a judgment, arrogantly questioning how they could possibly test his strength. Impatient and overconfident, the muscular swordsman decides to go first, declaring his intent to get this over with as he hurls his sword toward the statue's palm. The statue's eyes seem to ominously glint. Junturin watches the hasty contestant with faux pity, stating that his attempt will not be accepted. Before the contestant's blade can even touch the statue, a massive stone sword erupts from the Bodhisattva's palm, intercepting and shattering the thrown weapon. The arrogant man can only stare, his confidence instantly replaced by shocked disbelief. This is the Bodhisattva's judgment. The ground beneath the shattered sword melts away, and a pillar of light engulfs the contestant, who screams in agony as he vanishes into thin air. The other warriors, including Idagawa, watch in horror, witnessing the tournament's first brutal, otherworldly elimination. Following the shocking disintegration of the previous contestant, the announcer Junturin explains the statue's power. He warns that any swords lacking sufficient power will trigger the Bodhisattva's judgment. high-powered heat rays from its eyes that will burn the offender to a crisp. He sternly advises them to choose their paths with caution. The protagonist, utterly unimpressed by the divine threat, lets out a short laugh, dismissing the entire spectacle as a ridiculous farce. The other contestants, including Jean Turin, look on in surprise at his blatant disrespect. Jean Turin is enraged by the protagonist's arrogance. He questions how he can call heat rays powerful enough to melt steel a farce. In response, the protagonist grips his sword, declaring that a mere idol created by human hands has no nerve to look down on him. With a powerful roar, the protagonist defies the rules completely. Instead of aiming for the statue's hand, he hurls his sword with incredible force directly at the bodhisattva's face. Jean Turin is horrified by this blasphemous and accursed act. At the same moment, another weapon, a kakara, a Buddhist ringed staff, is thrown by the mysterious man in the hat. It expertly deflects a beam of light from the statue's eyes. The other contestants are shocked that something deflected the attack meant for the protagonist. Both weapons find their mark on the statue's hand simultaneously. The protagonist's sword strikes the character for Conqueror, while the kakara hits the character for Demon. The man with the kakara comments that the demon path is a fitting choice for himself. The protagonist recognizes the familiar weapon and instantly suspects the identity of its owner. The mysterious man reveals himself, removing his wide-brimmed hat. He is a tall, confident warrior with long, dark hair who greets the protagonist, acknowledging his famous straight-line style. The protagonist confirms his suspicion, identifying the man as Kurama Goketsu. Idagawa, standing nearby, is shocked that the protagonist knows this formidable-looking warrior. The protagonist recalls Kurama Goketsu's history. He was a distinguished martial artist from Tsanglong Temple, so powerful he commanded the respect of their strongest fighter, Tadu Guki. However, he was ultimately expelled for his extreme brutality. Suddenly, a wave of panic spreads as flocks of birds erupt from the mountain peak. Jean Turin and Idagawa look up in alarm, sensing that something is terribly wrong. The eyes of the colossal bodhisattva statue begin to glow with intense energy. The contestants below, including a terrified Idagawa, realize the statue is responding to the dual defiance. Jean Turin realizes what's happening. Because two people struck the statue at the same time, they have incurred the bodhisattva's wrath. He wonders which of the two warriors, the protagonist or Kurama, the statue will choose to judge. To their surprise, a massive beam of destructive energy erupts from the statue, targeting both warriors simultaneously. The protagonist and Kurama realize they are both being judged for their insolence. Undeterred, both men unleash their ultimate secret techniques. Kurama uses his charging Fathom Reflection Blade, while the protagonist executes his Sakyamuni Dauntless Slash. The two powerful sword strikes meet the Bodhisattva's heat ray head-on, managing to deflect it, much to the amazement of the onlookers. The resulting collision of energy is immense, culminating in a cataclysmic explosion that completely obliterates the upper half of the mountain, including the giant Bodhisattva statue. The remaining contestants and Jean Turin stare in stunned silence. The announcer can only marvel at the incredible men who blasted the divine statue away without a trace. The protagonist calmly states he knows nothing of Buddhas or bodhisattvas, standing beside his new rival. Kurama Goketsu gives a confident smirk, finding the protagonist's power fascinating. He declares that he will be the one to pass judgment on him, officially igniting their rivalry. Having been assigned their paths, the protagonist and Kurama leap into the air to begin their journey. They tell Jean Turin that the rest of the contestants can choose as they please. Left with no other option, Jean Turin concedes. As Kurama departs, he vows to see the man of the straight-line style in the finals. Idagawa comments on how tough the competition is, but the protagonist simply looks on, determined and unfazed. In the middle of a dense forest, Idagawa looks terrified, sensing the tense atmosphere. He thinks to himself how tough the situation is as animals flee in panic. In the background, his companion, the powerful warrior known as Head, dashes through the trees. A fearsome, demonic aura surrounds Head, a powerful fighter with spiky blonde hair and a scar over his eye. His intense presence is so overwhelming that he is likened to a demon. Idagawa trembles in fear, clenching his fists. He worries about what to do, knowing that Head's ki has been on the verge of exploding ever since he was provoked by a man named Karamago Ketsu. The scene shifts to the imposing building of Otakajiku, with a sign clearly marking the principal's office. Inside, a formidable man with a bald head and a powerful build introduces himself with a deafening roar. "I am the principal of Otakajiku, Idajima Heihachi." Below, Idagawa is thrown back by the sheer force of his voice, commenting on its toughness. Principal Heihachi addresses a stunned Idagawa, stating that he has been summoned for a single reason concerning his classmate, Akashi. The principal sips a drink and explains that while law and order may have returned for now, Akashi, who was suspended for a past incident, will be needed by the school again one day. Principal Heihachi reminds Idagawa that he knows firsthand how dangerous that is, referring to Akashi's power. As Head walks away in the background, the principal adds that it's uncertain if he'll ever return. The principal reveals the terrifying truth: Akashi possesses the Izura's ki. He tasks a shocked Idagawa with accompanying Head to ensure Akashi does not tread down the path of the Izura. With a stern and commanding gaze, Principal Heihachi gives his final order: "Bring Akashi back to Otakajiku." That is all. Returning to the present, Head walks off into the ominous landscape. Left behind, a distraught Idagawa questions what he can possibly do, still shaken by the principal's words. Idagawa continues to despair, feeling completely helpless. He shouts out in frustration that he has no power or techniques to offer any real help on this dangerous mission. Suddenly, Head and Idagawa stumble upon a massive, circular stone structure. They stare in shock and wonder at the unexpected sight in the middle of nowhere. As they look down upon the vast, crumbling structure, Idagawa remarks that after walking through the forest for so long, it's about time they came across something man-made. Head remains silent, his gaze fixed on the scene. From the edge of the ruin, they spot a lone figure sitting in a meditative pose in the center of the vast arena. They wonder who it could be. Idagawa shouts out to the old man, asking where they are. But Head quickly interrupts him, sensing that something is not right. An intense, menacing aura explodes from the old man. Head sternly warns Idagawa to stand back if he values his life, as Idagawa falls to the ground in terror. Idagawa realizes they're in an arena and that the old man must be Head's opponent. Head calmly walks towards the seated figure, telling him that's enough of his hollow prayers. The old man quickly draws a large bow and arrow, pulling the string taut as he aims directly at the approaching Head. He releases the arrow, which flies with incredible speed. Head, with lightning-fast reflexes, manages to catch it just before it hits him, much to Idagawa's shock. Head looks at the dark liquid dripping from the arrowhead, questioning the meaning of the attack. From a seated position, the old man laughs and cryptically says, "Well done, my pupil." The old man reveals his treacherous move with a sinister laugh. He explains that the arrow is coated with the deadly venom of the Gandhara viper, a name that sends a chill down Idagawa's spine. The Gandhara viper's venom is explained as a dreaded poison used in ancient assassinations, so potent that a single drop can kill an elephant. Unless an antidote is taken within 1 minute, the victim's blood will spurt from their body, leading to certain death. Enraged, Idagawa screams at the old man for poisoning Head. Admitting he stands no chance against Head's power in a direct fight, the old man reveals his gambit. He presents a small vial, the antidote, and clarifies that without it, Head has only 1 minute to live. With a 1-minute timer ticking, the old man states his condition with a smirk. If Head wants the antidote, he must cast the sword on his back far out of his reach, effectively disarming himself. Idagawa desperately pleads with Head not to throw away his sword, insisting that the old man is lying and won't give him the antidote. In contrast, Head smirks, finding the situation fascinating and deciding to play along with the farce for a minute. To Adagawa's horror, Head throws his sword high into the air, disarming himself completely. Idagawa screams in disbelief, questioning why Head would do such a thing. The old man laughs maniacally, believing he has won. He brandishes his own sword and screams die, thinking Head is now a helpless fool. Head, however, looks on with a bored expression. Suddenly, not one, but multiple identical copies of the old man appear, all armed with swords. They leap into the air, screaming die, as they descend upon the unarmed Head. Head finds himself surrounded by the identical swordsmen, all slashing at him simultaneously. He calmly dodges their coordinated assault. As Head continues to effortlessly evade the attacks, Idagawa panics, knowing that the 1-minute deadline for the poison is approaching. The old man furiously yells at Head to stay still. Despite being surrounded and outnumbered, Head continues to weave through the flurry of blades. The lead attacker watches intently, beginning to realize that something is not right. The old man is bewildered. He notes that the poison should be taking effect, causing Head's consciousness to slip. Yet, Head is moving as if completely unaffected, while the attackers are the ones becoming out of breath. In a stunning reveal, Head holds up the vial of antidote, telling the shocked old man that he pocketed it without him even noticing. With a powerful grip, he shatters the vial in his hand. As the antidote spills onto the ground, Head calmly states that he doesn't need it for such a trifling poison. The old man and Idagawa look on in complete disbelief. With a guttural roar, Head unleashes all the ki in his body at once. The massive surge of energy is an attempt to expel the poison directly from his blood, causing the ground to shake. The old man and Idagawa are blown back by the sheer power. The old man stammers, realizing that even though Head has counteracted the poison, he is still unarmed. But Head looks at him with a calm, intense gaze, stating that the ordeal has managed to calm his savage ki. Facing the scumbag opponent, Head declares from behind that there is a high price to pay for sullying a battle between men. Head raises a single finger, his gauntlet gleaming. He calmly announces to the horrified old man, 1 minute's up. In an instant, Head's sword, which he had thrown earlier, falls from the sky and impales the old man through the chest. The man gasps impossible. As he dies, Head coolly states he'll send the cleaning bill for his sword straight to hell. A flashback begins, showing Head addressing the entire second-year student body of Otakajuku. He announces that he will be leaving the school during his indefinite suspension and will entrust one of them with his authority. Head presents a dagger, explaining that it is the insignia of the acting head of the second years. To the absolute shock of his peer, Head declares that he is giving the dagger and the responsibility to Idagawa. Stunned and overwhelmed, Idagawa holds the dagger, repeating in disbelief, "Me? The acting head of the second years. Tough, ain't it?" Returning to the journey, Idagawa follows Head, pondering why he was put in charge. He questions Head's decision to appoint him, of all people, in his place. Their journey brings them to another shocking sight, a massive, circular arena suspended by a thin pillar over a vast, rocky canyon. Both Head and Idagawa stare in disbelief. Idagawa looks down into the chasm, noting the deep ravine and how nobody could survive the fall. He wonders if this perilous platform is the next arena. Head turns to Idagawa, who has been following him. He tells Idagawa he thought he told him not to come, and that if he continues to follow, he must be prepared to give up his life. As Idagawa recoils in terror at Head's grim ultimatum, one of their new opponents, a man with a distinctive mustache, casually taunts them from a distance, pointing out that they are expected. On the platform ahead, the two opponents stand ready. One is a towering, muscular warrior whose face is hidden by a steel mask, standing beside the mustachioed companion who just called them out. Idagawa panics, realizing there's a team of two waiting in the arena. Head, ever composed, correctly deduces that the next round will be a team match. The two teams, Head and Idagawa on one side, and the masked warrior and his companion on the other, face off across the vast, suspended arena. Two strange pillars with hourglass-like devices stand ominously on the stage. Idagawa points out the strange pillars, wondering what they are. The opposing team's announcer, a man with a distinct mustache, chuckles, saying, "So, you've noticed them?" As the hourglass-like device is shown up close. The announcer explains that they prepared this special stage to show respect for their opponents who have made it this far. Head scoffs, unimpressed, calling it yet another farce. With a theatrical flourish, the announcer reveals the name of the challenge, the Sulphur Crown Twin Time Duel. Idagawa repeats the name in shock. The grim rules are explained. A hostage is bound to each pillar with a vial of sulfuric acid above their head. The acid drips like an hourglass, and if the vial isn't rotated within 3 minutes, it will give way, burning the hostage to death. The fighter must protect their hostage while battling. The announcer then asks if Head has the courage to accept. The announcer taunts Head, calling the challenge insane. But Head, with a smirk, calls it amusing and accepts the farce of a challenge, much to Idagawa's complete horror. Head turns to the terrified Idagawa and explains his reasoning. He accepted because this is the perfect chance to test how much resolve Idagawa truly has. The announcer declares that it's time to choose the hostage. Without hesitation, Head points directly at a terrified Idagawa, selecting him for the deadly role. Idagawa is bound to the pillar, the horrifying device containing sulfuric acid dangling just above his head. He looks up, petrified, while Head looks on with a stern expression. Despite his terror, Idagawa finds his courage. Dripping with sweat, he shouts, "Please don't underestimate me, Head. I'm also a student of Otakajuku. I've decided to follow you, even if you take me to the pit of hell." The announcer sits down, noting that they seem ready. He tells his masked brother to handle the fight, but warns him not to be careless, as Head is a master of the straight-line style. The masked warrior scoffs, confident in his abilities. Head readies himself, gesturing to his opponent and saying, "Well, let's get this done and over with. Have at you." The duel is about to begin. In the arena, a new challenger appears, a hulking warrior in menacing armor and a full-face mask. He wields a thorny, whip-like sword and laughs with confidence. "Ha, your sword may be powerful, but you can't cut me if you can't get in range," he taunts. The masked man strikes with his whip sword, demonstrating its incredible reach. Watching from the side, Head's companion, a spiky-haired young man named Idagawa, cries out in shock. Head, however, looks on with cold indifference, simply stating, "Far too easy." Head makes his move, but his attack deflects harmlessly off the opponent's defenses. The masked man scoffs. "I see the straight-line style does have power, but you haven't even scratched me." In a flash, the tables turn. Head unleashes the true power of his technique, severing the masked man's whip sword. The villain cries out in disbelief, "Impossible!" As the broken weapon falls, Head stands firm, declaring, "Straight-line style, rock-slicing sword. There's not a thing in this world my sword can't cut." The devastating force of Head's slash has cut the entire arena in half, sending his opponent plummeting into the ravine below. Idagawa stares in utter disbelief, stammering, "I don't believe it." He cut the arena in half to send his opponent into the ravine. The scene shifts to the start of the cruel Sulphur Crown Twin Time Duel. Idagawa is cuffed as a hostage beneath a vial of acid that is about to burst. His opponent's partner, a bald man named Goki, sits nearby, also in cuffs. As the masked man tells him to calm down, Head looks on, assessing the grim situation. They brought this upon their own heads. Suddenly, the supposedly captured Goki breaks free from his handcuffs and flips acrobatically to his feet. Idagawa shouts in alarm, realizing they've been deceived. Goki smirks, declaring the charade is over. Enraged, Idagawa realizes he was the only real hostage. Head calmly calls out the deception, stating that Goki meddled with the handcuffs so they would come off from the beginning. Now free, Goki resorts to dirty tactics. Instead of a sword, he throws a baseball straight at Head, yelling, "Have a taste of this." As the ball shatters, it releases a cloud of gas. Goki grins maliciously, revealing his trap. "You fell for it. That ball contains a poison that disrupts your optic nerve." Head is caught off guard by the treacherous attack. The poison takes immediate effect, temporarily blinding Head. Goki mocks him, while Adagawa screams in horror, calling him coward. With Head blinded, Goki draws two short swords, laughing at his own cunning. Hith. It's all nothing but simple tactics. Goki lunges forward, unleashing his signature technique, the twin-wing sword style, revolving blades. Despite his blindness, Head remains preternaturally calm. By focusing on the sound of his opponent's movements, he masterfully dodges the deadly whirlwind of steel. The two warriors clash in the center of the arena. Although Head manages to block the main thrust of the attack, one of Goki's blades manages to graze his shoulder, drawing blood. Goki's eyes widen in shock as Head, completely blind, perfectly parries his revolving blade's attack, stopping the assault in its tracks. The two fighters stand apart after the exchange, the floor between them scarred by the force of their blows. A tense silence hangs in the air. Goki demands to know how Head could have dodged while blind. Head, his eyes still closed, calmly reveals his method. "Of course. By sound. You were predicting my movements by my footsteps, weren't you?" Realizing his strategy has been discovered, Goki adapts with ruthless cunning. He takes off his shoes to silence his movements. Idagawa cries out in despair. It's all over. Not only is he blind, but he can't hear him now. The battle takes another dark turn. The masked man reappears, holding a new hostage. He looks at someone off-panel, surprised. "Why, you're alive!" he exclaims. The scene flashes back to the initial hostage setup. The masked man holds Goki at sword point, warning Head not to move. Idagawa, not yet aware of the deception, urges his brother to finish the opponent, believing they have the upper hand. Head looks down at his shoulder with a confident smirk, completely unfazed by the wound he sustained. "Do something about him for me," he says, not with a command, but with absolute certainty. "I trust you." The two villains decide to end it. Goki and the masked man attack Head at the same time, screaming that both he and his partner can die. Idagawa watches in sheer terror. Despite facing a 2-on-1 assault, Head endures the blow, clutching his bleeding arm with a look of grim determination, having placed his faith in his partner. Seeing Head momentarily engaged, the masked man turns to enact the final part of his plan, raising his blade to execute his own partner, Goki, in a feigned act of desperation. Idagawa can only watch and scream as the blade descends. Just as the masked man's blade is about to strike his partner, it is suddenly blocked. To his astonishment, Idagawa, lying on the ground, has caught the sword between his feet, stopping the attack. The masked man stares in disbelief. Idagawa is holding a dagger with his feet. He recognizes the blade instantly. This dagger is the symbol of the acting head of Otokijiku's second years. With newfound courage, Idagawa shouts with tears of resolve streaming down his face. "I cannot tarnish the name of Otokijiko, the crown jewel of Japanese men." Meanwhile, the battle between the blinded Head and the barefoot Goki continues. Goki taunts him, confident in his advantage. "You're blind, and you can't hear me. You have no way to dodge my sword." In a baffling move, Head sheathes his sword. Goki is stunned and confused, demanding to know what he's playing at. Head looks down with a faint, confident smile. "Has desperation driven you to madness?" Goki asks. Head calmly replies, "I don't need to draw the rock-slicing sword against the likes of you." Enraged by the insult, Goki charges forward, once again unleashing his revolving blades technique, determined to cut Head to pieces. But in a shocking display of skill, the blinded Head, using only Goki's own captured swords, perfectly catches and neutralizes the revolving blade's attack. Goki is left utterly speechless. With Goki's technique nullified, Head effortlessly disarms him, sending the swords flying and throwing Goki off balance, causing him to fall hard on his back. Completely defeated, Goki asks how it was possible. How did you see my swords coming with both your vision and hearing cut off? Head reveals his secret. You have a faint scent on your sleeves. I couldn't help but smell it when you came near me. That was more than enough for me to dodge it. Head stands over the defeated Goki, holding the twin swords he just captured. Revolving blades? Fascinating, he remarks with cold curiosity. I think I'll test him out on this bastard here. Goki looks up in absolute terror. In an unbelievable feat, Head perfectly mimics and executes the technique. Goki can only watch in horror, realizing Head has mastered his signature move in mere minutes. Head unleashes his own straight-line style revolving blades, and Goki is torn to shreds by the attack. The power of Head's appropriated technique is immense, causing the very stones of the arena floor to shatter and explode outwards. After the devastating attack, the twin swords crumble in Head's hands, unable to withstand his tremendous power. So these swords could not handle my power either, he notes, as the remains of Goki fall into the water below. Back at the other side of the duel, the masked man looms over Idagawa, who is still on the ground holding the dagger with his feet. You fool, the villain snarls. Do you really expect to defend yourself against my attacks from that position? The masked man presses his advantage, leaning in close to the trapped Idagawa. He brings his face close to the dagger, taunting, I'll take my sweet time and slice you to death. In a desperate, heroic move, Idagawa thrusts upwards with his feet, plunging the dagger deep into the masked man's thigh. The masked man lets out a cry of pain, but quickly turns it into a maniacal laugh. Gahaha! He roars, impressed by the boy's tenacity, even as blood pours from his wound. Still on top of Idagawa, the masked man grimaces. Tough, ain't ya? He admits, realizing his mistake. You must have gotten careless 'cause you thought I was weak. Well, guess what? You sure you want to get on top of me like that? With veins bulging on his forehead from the strain, Idagawa makes a startling declaration, a look of grim triumph on his face. 3 minutes are up. You lose. As the time runs out, the vial of acid above them bursts. Because the masked man is positioned on top of Idagawa, he takes the full, horrifying shower of corrosive liquid, screaming in agony as it dissolves his mask and flesh. From across the arena, Head sees the massive cloud of steam erupt from the duel site and yells out his companion's name in concern. Idagawa! The steam begins to clear. Idagawa has managed to roll away, his bare foot singed by the acid. The masked man lies on the ground, his armor and body horribly melted by the acid. Sitting exhausted beside the vanquished foe, Idagawa breathes a sigh of relief. Phew, tough, ain't it? I thought I was a goner there. As Head approaches, Idagawa looks down in shame. You saw that, Head. I'm weak, he confesses. If he hadn't lost control and got on top of me, I'd have been the one getting doused in acid instead. I'm not fit to be the acting head at all. Head looks down at Idagawa and bluntly agrees. You're right. You are weak. You have no techniques or powers, and you're completely useless. As he speaks, he effortlessly shatters the steel cuffs with his bare hands. Idagawa is taken aback. Then, why did you appoint me acting head in the first place? Head picks up the ceremonial dagger and explains, but I have respect for those who stand by their manhood. Handing the dagger back, Head gives his partner a rare acknowledgement. You've done well. Keep up the good work. Moved, Idagawa can only stammer his name as they leave the arena of their hard-won victory behind. Their journey continues, leading them to a menacing, gnarled forest at the foot of a snowy mountain. They arrive at the mouth of a dark cave, marked by sacred ropes. Do we have to go through this dark cave to get to the next arena? Idagawa asks nervously. Holding a torch to light the way, Idagawa swallows hard, realizing the gravity of their progress. So, I guess it's the finals next. As they venture deeper into the cave, Idagawa complains, I'm just so nervous. My stomach's been killing me. I haven't eaten a thing all day. Annoyed, Head tells him, You're annoying me already. Just shut up and keep walking. Idagawa's mood shifts to excitement as he contemplates the tournament structure. After winning the quarterfinals and semifinals, one more victory will make Head the champion of the Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament. He dreams of the incredible treasure awaiting the winner, hoping he'll get a cut. Head considers their final opponent. I'm guessing it'll be Kurama Goketsu that advanced to the finals, he says, picturing a formidable-looking warrior with long dark hair. I wonder how it'll turn out if you end up fighting him. Idagawa adds that Kuruma didn't look like any ordinary guy and worries for Head. Just then, he spots the end of the tunnel. Look, it's the exit, he shouts, running ahead to scout out the area. They emerge from the cave into a breathtaking and terrifying new arena. Two gigantic Buddha statues rise from a river of boiling lava, their giant stone palms forming a bridge. What the hell is this? Idagawa stammers, while Head observes grimly. Head's sharp eyes scan the scene, noticing that the arena is already in ruins and covered in fresh blood. He realizes a battle has already taken place here and wonders at its meaning. Suddenly, Idagawa's eyes go wide with terror. He points a trembling finger towards something in the lava, unable to form words. Head. Look. There, floating in the molten rock, is the answer to the mystery. It is the severed head of Kurama Goketsu, the man they expected to face in the finals. Head stares in shock, recognizing the grim visage and realizing a far more dangerous enemy is lurking. A man with spiky hair looks on in disbelief. Before him is the gruesome, shattered head of Kurama Goketsu. A subordinate stammers in fear, addressing the shocked onlooker as Sir Akashi. Akashi then discovers two more figures lying wounded on the ground, recognizing them as Jun Tarin and Kong Ming. His subordinate cries out, asking how this could have happened. Akashi approaches the wounded men, demanding to know what went on here. One of the Jun brothers explains that they have failed. They were tasked as guide for the Heaven Limit Arhut swordsmanship tournament, but the tournament has been destroyed. The brother continues his story, explaining that the final match was supposed to be held here between Akashi and Kurama, but everything changed with the sudden intervention of a mysterious man. The scene flashes back. The Jun brother confirms to Akashi that the mysterious man defeated Kurama Goketsu, appearing just a moment ago. In a flashback, we see the tournament grounds inside a cave. The flashback continues, showing Kurama Goketsu standing with the Jun brothers. They tell him it was only reasonable he would make it to the finals, but Kurama seems impatient, asking if the man of the straight line style has arrived yet. As the brothers assure Kurama that Sir Akashi is on his way, a strange black haze begins to form around them, catching their attention. Suddenly, a mysterious man with dark, spiky hair appears atop a giant statue head. He addresses Kurama, asking if he has business with the straight line style. Kurama and the others look up in shock. The mysterious swordsman lands on the ground. The Jun brothers immediately stand in his way, declaring that as long as they are here, they will not allow him, a non-participant, to disrupt the tournament. The Jun brothers draw their swords and leap forward to attack the intruder, shouting for him to be gone at once. In a flash, the swordsman effortlessly disarms both brothers, cutting their hands. He lectures them for drawing their swords when they weren't ready for a duel to the death, declaring that they fail. Kurama watches in stunned silence as a black, tentacle-like kitten emits from the mysterious man. Kurama wonders how any human could possess such a monstrous ki as he prepares to face the formidable opponent. The mysterious man eyes Kurama's weapon and comments, "That's a fine sword you have there." Kurama asks why he wants to know. With a smirk, the man simply states, "I want it." Kurama smirks back, introducing his sword as the Ikemonji Kanamasa. Kurama unsheathes his blade, his long hair flowing. He challenges the man, telling him if he wants the sword, he must take it from him. However, as he grips his sword, Kurama is shocked to find himself trembling. He questions if it's possible that he is afraid. The mysterious swordsman stands ready. Kurama considers what would happen if he struck with all his body and soul. The swordsman decides that even though his technique is incomplete, it's worth trying out. Kurama unleashes his ultimate attack, the Tsanglong Temple Super Secret Technique, Rising Key Dragon Spirit. A massive, white, fiery dragon emerges from his sword, shocking the onlookers. The white dragon spirit rushes towards the mysterious man, engulfing him completely as Kurama looks on with fierce determination. To everyone's horror, the mysterious man cuts Kurama's dragon attack clean in half. He stands unscathed on a platform as Kurama and the Jun brothers look on in disbelief. He then accuses Kurama of having killed his own master. The man calls Kurama a coward, stating that one cannot master a secret technique without killing their master. He delivers a final, damning judgment. You fail. As a counter, the mysterious swordsman unleashes his own secret technique, the straight-line style's phantasmal black dragon spirit. A ferocious black dragon manifests, roaring as it lunges towards a terrified Kurama, delivering the single, fatal blow. The flashback concludes, showing the grisly remains of Kurama Goketsu's head. Back in the present, Akashi's subordinate trembles, remarking on the fact that Goketsu was killed in a single strike. Akashi, with a grim expression, asks for confirmation from the wounded Jun brother. Did you say straight-line style, secret technique? The brother affirms that is what the mysterious man said. The Jun brother frantically warns Akashi, telling him he doesn't know who the man is, but that he is simply too dangerous and Akashi must flee before he is noticed. Just then, a new figure approaches, their boots stepping into frame. The figure speaks the exact same words the mysterious swordsman said to Kurama. That's a fine sword you have there. Tell me its name. The mysterious swordsman has arrived. As he calmly walks towards Akashi, the terrified Jin brother points him out, shouting that this is the man who killed Sir Goketsu and ruined the entire tournament. The swordsman, wreathed in a powerful aura, looks directly at Akashi and speaks, his voice low and familiar. Long time no see, good. Akashi's subordinates are stunned, wondering how this stranger knows their leader's name. Akashi himself sweats, stating that this isn't funny at all. The subordinate asks Akashi if he knows the man, while the wounded Jin brother urges the man he calls head to flee before he is killed. The mysterious man, now identified as head, makes a shocking declaration to the onlookers. He's my brother, Goichi, Akashi Goichi. As the revelation hangs in the air, the entire cave begins to shake violently, causing alarm among Akashi and the Jin brothers. The scene transitions, marking the beginning of the next chapter, titled Chapter 8, Akashi Goichi. The cave wall collapses and lava begins to pour into the arena. Akashi's subordinate panics as the lava level rises, realizing that Head's black dragon strike must have created a deep crater, causing the eruption. The Jun brothers cry out in terror, realizing that at this rate, the entire arena will be completely submerged in lava within 10 minutes. As the lava flows, Head and his brother Akashi face each other from opposite sides of the giant statue. Head declares that there can only be one rightful heir to the straight-line style, and they still haven't settled whether it will be him or Akashi. Head continues, accusing Akashi of having run away from him in the past without even putting up a fight. Akashi listens in silence, while his subordinate looks on in confusion. With intense focus, Head grips his sword hilt and issues a deadly ultimatum to his brother. I came here to kill you. Draw your sword and fight me. Akashi coldly tells his brother to get lost. The onlookers are aghast, realizing that Head truly intends to kill his own brother over a battle of succession. With a calm but firm expression, Akashi states plainly to his brother, I don't want to fight you. Head taunts him, demanding to know if he's refusing so he can run away again like a coward. Akashi, with his back turned, simply answers no. Head dismisses Akashi's disinterest in being the successor, telling him to stop prattling and just draw his sword. He says Akashi can call himself the heir all he wants. Akashi once again refuses to draw. Head's patience runs out, and he clenches his fist, declaring, then I'll just have to force you to draw instead. Head lunges forward, attacking his unarmed brother with a powerful kick aimed at his chest. Akashi blocks the powerful blow with his armored forearm, the force of the impact cracking the metal. In the same motion, Head strikes Akashi's subordinate, sending him flying. Standing over the fallen man, Head looks down at his brother. He tells Akashi to draw his sword, stating there would be no point in killing him while he is unarmed. Lying on his back amidst the rubble, Akashi looks up at his brother and grits his teeth, repeating his stance. I thought I said I don't want to fight you. Akashi Goichi looks down on his opponent with disdain, taunting him for turning a blind eye to his true nature. In a flash, he launches a powerful kick, causing a forceful explosion on the ground. As Goichi lands, his brother, Head, is thrown back by the force of the attack. Idagawa watches in shock, noting he's never seen Head act this way. A trickle of blood escapes from Head's mouth as he bears the impact. Goichi appears mounted on his horse, looking down on the defeated Head. Idagawa, horrified, wonders why Head is refusing to fight back and what could have happened in their shared past to cause such a conflict. Head looks up at his brother, his expression grim. He states that Goichi still doesn't understand, declaring that unlike him, he would never have killed their master. Goichi scoffs, his aura pulsing with power. He reminds Head that he thought he had already taught him a lesson on why bonds should be feared. Walking forward menacingly, Goichi declares that he'll have to give his brother a refresher course on that lesson. Idagawa can only watch in trembling fear. Suddenly, a new figure appears, stepping between the brothers. Goichi stops, surprised by the interruption, as Head and Idagawa look on in shock. Goichi eyes the newcomer with suspicion, asking him if he is from Otakajuku. Idagawa is terrified and stammers in fear. Goichi smirks and taunts Head, whose name is revealed to be Guji, commenting on the nice friend he has. Head shouts for him to stop, sensing the danger. Without a moment's hesitation, Goichi brutally impales the newcomer, Kuruma Goketsu, from behind. Kuruma collapses as Idagawa watches in sheer horror at the cold-blooded murder. Standing over Kuruma's body, Goichi continues his goading, asking his brother Head if he can maintain his composure now that his friend has been killed. This finally pushes Head over the edge. Consumed by rage, Head lunges at Goichi and his horse, screaming, "You son of a bitch!" The time for holding back is over. Goichi and his horse leap out of the way, just in time. Head's powerful attack misses its target and strikes the stone ground, causing a massive, explosive impact. The impact of Head's strike has fractured the very ground of the volcanic arena. Goichi looks back, clicking his tongue in annoyance as he notices the lava flow has been unleashed. A massive wave of lava erupts, splitting the entire arena in two and shocking all the onlookers. Goichi notices that Head managed to land a small cut on him, acknowledging that such battle prowess must be in their blood. The battlefield is now divided by a raging river of lava, separating Goichi and Head on two separate platforms. Seeing that they are separated, Goichi declares their battle is on hold for now, as Head can no longer reach him. In the background, Kuruma is seen still breathing, clinging to life. As Head yells for his brother to stop, Goichi reveals his next move. With the other men now trapped, he smirks and announces that he'll be taking them as hostages. Head can only scream in fury and helplessness as his brother threatens his comrades. Goichi slings the injured Kuruma over his shoulder and issues a challenge. Come to the Temple of the Cross, where they will finally determine who is the true master of the straight-line style. As he prepares to leave, Goichi delivers a final, chilling threat from across the lava flow. He warns Head that if he doesn't show up, all the hostages will die. The volcano continues to erupt violently, and the entire island begins to crumble into the sea. Goichi stands alone on a precipice, watching the destruction before taking his leave. Standing amidst the crumbling remains of the island, Head looks onward with an expression of grim determination. His decision has been made. Head clenches his bloodied fist, steeling his resolve. He acknowledges that to risk his life in battle means accepting the possibility of death, a price he is willing to pay. But as he solidifies his determination, a new presence makes itself known. As his brother departs, a mysterious voice cuts through the chaos of the erupting volcano. The voice questions Head's failure to protect his friend, showing an intimate knowledge of the events that just transpired. The mysterious figure is revealed, a man in a veiled hat and traditional robes. He addresses Head by his family name, Akashi, and probes his psyche, asking if he chooses solitude because he fears losing those close to him. Head turns to face the stranger, demanding to know who he is. They stand on the rocky, unstable ground of the collapsing island. The man continues his psychological analysis, suggesting that Head is running from his fear of loss. Enraged, Head tells him to shut up, warning that he is in no mood for mercy. As Head grips his sword, the man states that this fear turns him into a blind fool. The unique hilt of Head's sword is shown as he prepares for a confrontation. Fed up with the conversation, Head lunges forward, swinging his powerful blade at the mysterious man. To Head's utter shock, the man effortlessly blocks his legendary rock-slicing sword with just his bare hands. The man calmly looks Head in the eye, telling him it will take much more than that to cut him down. They stand opposed in the desolate landscape. The stranger's hat falls to the ground. He comments that a sword of this caliber chooses its own master, and that Head still has a long way to go before mastering it. Head can only look on, still demanding to know who he is. The man finally reveals his identity, removing his veil. He introduces himself as Wang Turin, sent on the principle of Otakajuku's orders to guide Head to the Temple of the Cross. Now walking together, a surprised Head learns that the principal himself is involved. Wang Turin asks how much Head knows about his brother, and Head admits he knows nothing of his actions since they parted years ago. Wang Turin drops a shocking revelation. Head's brother, Goichi, is the leader of a dangerous organization known as the Phantasmal Order of the Temple of the Cross. The Phantasmal Order is explained as an armed religious group, a splinter faction of the straight line style. They use so-called heavenly oracles to justify their crimes and plot to overthrow the government, aiming to install a dictatorship. Head processes the information, asking if the Temple of the Cross serves as their headquarters. Wang Turin confirms it's highly likely, though their intelligence on the Order's full operations is incomplete. Wang Turin explains that Otakajuku has tasked them both with this mission. However, Head refuses to help, insisting that this is his personal problem and that he will go in alone. Wang Turin counters by revealing a personal stake in the mission. He states that the captive Jin brothers are his cousins, making this his problem as much as it is Head's. With their alliance forged, Wang Turin tells Head to follow him. Against the backdrop of the erupting volcano, they set off for the Temple of the Cross. A few days later, the pair arrive in a treacherous mountain region. Wang Turin points out a perilous path across a deep crevasse, explaining that the Temple of the Cross lies in the uncharted region beyond it. They arrive before the Temple of the Cross, an imposing fortress of dark stone towers. Wang Turin explains this is the place where the two straight-line styles intersect. A diagram illustrates the temple's layout, a complex of 5 towers. 4 outer towers, the first, second, third, and the Tower of Death, surround the central 5th tower. Head observes how quiet the fortress is. Wang Turin explains that the towers are connected by giant viaducts in numerical order, and that this is the only path to the 5th tower. Wang Turin outlines their situation. He presumes Akashi Goichi and the hostages are in the 5th tower. He then poses the critical question: how do they assail this seemingly unassailable military stronghold? Head walks forward with confidence, dismissing the question as if the answer is obvious. He already has a plan in mind. As they approach the entrance to the 1st tower, Wang Turin asks if Head's plan is to follow the conventional path and storm the fortress starting from the beginning. Head simply replies, no. He grips his sword, telling a puzzled Wang Turin that there is another way, a way that he can't see. Recalling Wang Turin's earlier words, Head draws his rock-slicing sword. He smirks, commenting that for a sword that chooses its wielder, it's quite cheeky as he prepares to unleash its true power. His companion is utterly shocked by the display of power, but a smirk reveals his inner thoughts. but you're fascinating." With a single, blindingly fast motion, Akashi unleashes a devastating slash from his sword, sending a shockwave of energy directly into the base of the first tower. The massive stone tower begins to groan and crumble, its foundation completely severed. Akashi stands amidst the flying debris, unfazed by the destruction he has caused. His companion watches in disbelief as the entire tower topples over, crashing down to form a perfect, makeshift bridge. He realizes Akashi's unbelievable plan to cut down the first tower to create a direct path to the fifth. Akashi stands confidently before his companion, Wang Taran. He declares the philosophy of his straight-line, rock-slicing sword. There is nothing in this world that his sword cannot cut. Wang Taran is stunned. He thinks to himself that Akashi is like an entirely different person, having focused all his power into that single swing. He wonders how Akashi could have tapped into the true power of the rock-slicing sword in such a short time. Meanwhile, the principal of Otakajiku, Idajima Heihachi, understands completely. He remarks that this is why he was concerned for him, while Wang Taran can only let out a wry chuckle. Wang Taran continues to watch Akashi, musing that he may just be the one who is truly capable of mastering the rock-slicing sword. Akashi's thoughts turn grim. He learns that the Phantasmal Order of the Temple of the Cross is a splinter group of his own straight-line school, making him wonder if he will be forced to fight against those he once trained alongside. A look of grim realization dawns on Akashi's face. He clenches his fist as he comes to a conclusion about what this splinter group must be. As they arrive, they are greeted by an astonishing sight, an entire army of warrior monks lined up in perfect formation, waiting for them. Akashi is immediately on guard, questioning what is happening. But Wang Taran holds him back, observing that the monks don't appear to have any intention of fighting. A figure, seemingly without a head, stands atop a wall and formally addresses Akashi Guji, stating that they have been expecting him and that it is an honor to finally see him. A man with peculiar glasses and a braided beard introduces himself with a smug grin. He is Gyukaku, the captain of the Temple of the Cross's Guard. As Akashi walks forward, he is watched by a group of mysterious hooded figures, their faces obscured by shadows. Losing his patience, Akashi brandishes his powerful sword, his face contorted in anger. He shouts that he doesn't have time for this and demands that they send out Goichi right now. Gyukaku calmly tells Sir Guji not to be so fast, urging him to refrain from such rash acts. At the same time, Wang Taran reminds Akashi to control himself, as they have hostages and must do as they are told. The imposing structure of the Temple of the Cross looms before them, a fortress of stone and shadow. Gyukaku explains the challenge. Lord Goichi is on the top of the fifth tower. To reach it, they must first pass through the second tower, the third tower, and the Tower of Death, each of which contains an arena with a trial. They stand before the entrance to the second tower. Akashi glares at their guide, demanding to know who they are and what they're getting out of this. With a grim look, the guide states that they will answer his questions, but only if he and his companion manage to make it out of the tower alive. Upon entering, they are shocked to find a vast, strange arena filled with countless cylindrical pillars reaching up towards the ceiling. Suddenly, a heavy, disc-shaped object plummets from the ceiling, completely obliterating one of the stone pillars in a violent explosion of fragments. Gyukaku smugly confirms that this is the second arena, the Battle of the Holy Battering Pegs. Wang Taran looks up, realizing with horror that the entire ceiling is designed to rain down these destructive pillars. The full, terrifying rules are laid out. It's a method of dueling where contestants fight on pillars driven into an iron plate heated to extreme temperatures. After a certain time, a pillar is destroyed by a stone from the ceiling at breakneck speed, and anyone who falls is burned to the bone. Akashi scoffs at the ridiculous farce, setting the stage for the deadly trial to begin. The captain of the guard, Gyukaku, draws his own massive blade. He declares that if Akashi wishes to see Lord Goichi, he will have to get through him first. Akashi remains calm and determined. He responds that crossing blades with him might just be the way to find out who the people of the Temple of the Cross truly are. Akashi accepts the challenge, taking a firm stance on one of the pillars. "Very well," he declares, "let's see if you can handle my power." Gyukaku becomes emotional, revealing that facing Akashi is a long-cherished desire for his group, who have remained hidden from the world until now. With a roar, he lunges forward to begin his assault. Gyukaku unleashes a fearsome attack, the straight-line-style arcane secret technique, thousand-handed flying chainsword. A barrage of countless sword-like projectiles made of ki flies towards a surprised Akashi. As another heavy pillar falls from the ceiling, Wang Taran watches in shock. He can't believe Akashi was caught by such a massive barrage of swords at that range. With a grunt of annoyance, Akashi leaps to another pillar just as the one he was standing on is pulverized by the falling debris. Gyukaku laughs maniacally, gloating that he emitted his ki in the form of a sword and managed to slice straight through Akashi's skin. The relentless assault continues as Gyukaku unleashes another wave of his thousand-handed flying chain sword technique. Wang Taran analyzes the grim situation. Gyukaku is giving Akashi no room to breathe, while his attacks and the falling pillars are systematically destroying the arena. Soon, Akashi will have nowhere left to run and will fall to his doom. Akashi now bears several cuts, and his opponent taunts him, asking why he stopped dodging. Gyukaku questions if Akashi has resigned himself to being helpless before his secret technique. To Gyukaku's surprise, Akashi simply smirks. He insults him, calling him a thick cow, and stating that if this weak attack is all he has no chance of winning. Gyukaku can only ask him to come again, confused. In an instant, Akashi gathers his energy, releasing an immense and powerful ki that stuns Wang Taran, who can only exclaim at the incredible power. Akashi calmly explains the flaw in his opponent's style. The technique is only effective if one's ki is strong. Gyukaku's is insufficient, which is why he must rely on a large number of weak projectiles. Gyukaku is horrified, as this is exactly what someone else had told him before. The scene flashes back a few years ago, where younger Gyukaku is seen practicing the same technique, shattering large rocks with his barrage of ki swords. In a flashback, Lord Goichi appears and tells Gyukaku that he fails. He points out the exact same flaw Akashi just did. His technique lacks power because his ki is insufficient, forcing him to rely on numbers. Goichi's lesson continues. He scolds Gyukaku for failing to master the technique after 5 years, while pointing out that someone else managed to achieve it in just 1 week. The devastating memory hits Gyukaku. He stammers, asking Goichi if that someone else was him. Back in the present, facing the man who mastered the technique in a week, he realizes he's facing a truly terrifying opponent. Akashi declares that he will now show him the true straight-line arcane secret technique. He unleashes a single, immensely powerful version of the thousand-handed flying chainsword, causing Gyukaku to scream in pure terror. But instead of striking his foe, Akashi's incredible attack intercepts and completely shatters the massive stone pillar, falling from the ceiling. Both Gyukaku and Wang Taran are in disbelief, realizing that Akashi, even in his dire straits, had aimed to save his enemy's life. The battle is over. Defeated, Gyukaku looks up at his opponent with respect. "Most excellent," he says, truly impressed that Akashi saved him from being crushed. Akashi stands with his back to his defeated foe. He explains that the arcane techniques were created by those who supported the straight-line style from the shadows, which is why he, a successor of the main style, would naturally know all about them. Akashi looks ahead, having solved the puzzle. He declares that they must be the remnants of the horizontal straight-line style. His words are being watched on a monitor by an unseen figure. The observer is revealed to be Lord Goichi, Akashi's brother. He stares at Akashi's face on the screen and poses a fateful question. Now, will the vertical and horizontal intersect?